Hey, it's Shoob. We're here, we're doing it. It's time for another sketchbook story time. So this one isn't finished, but it's for my cousin, the Reject Astronaut. So it's been a while since we did this. You know, life got in the way for me. YouTube escaped me. But we're here, we're doing it. So let's get into it. Alright, so like I said, this sketchbook is like halfway done, so we're gonna cut it up into a couple of videos so that we have some more stuff going on. So I always leave the first page blank because once I finished it, I have an idea of what I'm going for, so I write a message to the person I'm gifting the sketchbook to. So I don't know what I'm gonna say on this one, but we're gonna have to see what's gonna inspire it. This is K-Flay lyrics, I think. And it's inspired partly by, I can't remember the game, it was like you're on a sled and you're going by lines. I think it's called Line Rider, and there was a video called The Forest Under the Earth. I was having a tough time with this one. It's a poem I wrote, or at least the beginning of it, and I don't know, it was a rough time. Phantom limb is perplexing. It's the phenomenon that when someone gets their limb amputated, they feel like they can still move it. And I thought maybe this can apply to other things in life. Like, what about things that are instilled to you as a child, like growing up? I still have dreams of my childhood home, but the other day, an old woman asked me to help her cross the street. I just told her to put one foot in front of the other until you get to the other side. So this is Danny Gonzalez, something he said. It was a bit he was having, and I thought it was wicked funny, so I made a picture out of it. I think my cousin would like it. This is like my persona Shoob looking completely despondent over something. And I don't know, me and my cousin used to be wicked close, like we would hang out every other day, but then he got into some wicked argument with my dad, so we couldn't come over anymore, and I don't usually go over people's places unless they invite me, and he never contacted me first, so we barely saw each other. Then, I don't know, the other day I saw him the other week, I saw him for the first time in years because we were helping my aunt move. This is Ivan. He's another character from Shooba's story. He's like, they're brothers not by blood, but by the fact that they're part of a clique. And this isn't the best drawing of him because he looks all droopy and melted, but he's got a cigar. You can see him smoking tobacco way more often than Shoob. And he says, if I'm being real, man, don't know how I feel, man. And it's like how I felt recently. I'm getting out of it, but I don't know, it's like shit happens and then you're like, damn. This is Gorilla's lyrics and the submarines from my story. I don't like how the little pilots turned out, because like this one's okay, but this one just looks like a little gremlin. It's awful. His arms are tiny, his head is tiny, he's posed wicked weirdly. It's one of them pilots. There's an infestation in my mind's imagination, because like, you can see the shit I'm going through in my art sometimes. Like if you saw the last video, a lot of topics were like things I was worrying about. Yeah. I don't have much to say about this one. It's a better image of Ivan, definitely. These were cars I came up with. I don't like how this one turned out. It's Sparko from the last video. I have pictures of him here, here, and here. And it says, hello, goodbye, I'm rather crazy, and I never thought I was crazy. I don't want to get into detail about this because I spoke about it in the last sketchbook story time. But like, first manic episode I had, I did not want to accept what was going on. I didn't believe any of the things that doctors were telling me, and you just don't want to accept that you're crazy. This one caught me up the last time I tried to record this, because it's like a lot of the shit I did when I was manic and before I was diagnosed with bipolar. Like, I was a wicked, manipulative person at one point, and it sort of makes me shake inside looking back at those times, because like, holy shit, look at all this shit. But yeah, Tony Josh lyrics. This is a Windows 96 song, so I drew some imagery for it. It's like crystal mountains with clouds over a gas lake. This is one of the characters from my story. It's one of the members of the clique Shoob, and it's Jack Spector. He's a conniving little bastard, and it says, "So beautiful a space between a painful reminder and a terrible dream." So more Tawny Josh. Harsh palpitations that tunneled my view. Eyesight grew warped, distorted, and skewed. Tonight you've survived, out of pity and spite. All night you have vowed for your place in the light. And this is Hoodie Guy with some sort of hellhound. And it symbolizes, like, you accept that you have demons, and you try to tame them and make friends with them, not allow them to succeed, but keep them from controlling you. This one was more inspired by an idea that I had for drawing rather than a meaning. It's Shoob colored by Galaxy Starship, and it has, I think, unlike Pluto lyrics. Scared I'll die of uncertainty. When I drew this, it seemed like a lot of things just weren't going to happen. Like, I was applying to a lot of HVAC companies and I wasn't getting calls back. Like, the only one that hired me, they had me there for 5 days. They barely tried to teach me and then told me I wasn't learning fast enough and let me go, wrote me an $800 check and just kicked me out. This is 21 Pilots. I think it's Levitate from Trench. And a curse from you is all that I would need right now. I never got down to figuring out what that lyric was about, what it meant. But I coupled it with the vulture imagery, even though this one kind of looks like a bloody toucan. This is Death Cab for Cutie. And it's just images to fit the song lyrics. Like, you watch a movie and everybody's dead by the time that you're watching it, so you're watching skeletons dancing on the screen. More 21 Pilots. Tally Hall. It's like you don't know what you're doing sometimes. Like, you've been at it so long that you wonder, what's the point? Your lies are more attractive than the truth. Because, like, a lot of people are fake. And there was this one really toxic guy I knew ages ago. And, I don't know, he would, like, we would have drama. And then he would say something wicked out of pocket, wicked controversial. And then I would have, like, the appropriate reaction to having someone say that to you. Then he would delete it, and then he would be like, who are you gonna tell now, huh? Did I even say that? What are you talking about? And it's like, what the fuck? What's the point of doing this? You're just tormenting someone. More 21 Pilots. Future's coming fast and I've got nothing in the tank. Because I feel like most of my friends are way further ahead of me in life. I'm 24, and a lot of my friends have moved out. And I only just finished trade school, and I've only worked for one company, and it was that company So you can tell I've gotten nowhere. Like, sometimes I feel like I wasted a year of my life at trade school. But I don't know. I was good at oil furnaces, so that's what I'm gonna spec into. 21 Pilots. It's a sculpture. I don't know if that's a species that already exists online. I drew him flying over some sort of burnt forest. More 21 Pilots. Has to do with the picture about my cousin and I drifting apart earlier in the book. Like, we're still wicked good friends, it's just we don't talk often. And this is 21 Pilots lyrics from Vessel. And it's like, when the morning has come, you feel like you're saved from the problems of the night, just sitting there thinking about everything. And when you're sitting there thinking about everything, you realize you're not what you're supposed to be. This is just an Aliens reference. When they're in the dropship and they're going up and they say in the pipe 5x5, supposed to say 5x5. This is Cab Calloway lyrics. Like, Cab Calloway has been kind of fascinating to me because you can see the guy like in the 1930s being recorded, and you can see him as a young man. Then like in the 60s, he's in his 50s, and it's just as spectacular. Like, he has just as much energy. And you see him in the 1980s and his voice is all old, but he's still putting on a performance. I drew this when my computer died. My Southbridge chip and my motherboard went bad. And I don't know, this is basically Shiruba, how I sit when I wake up in the middle of the night because the coyotes are howling or some shit. Everything I own is falling apart because when I drew this, you know, my computer was down, my car was busted up. Half of my, not half, but a lot of my Copic markers, the cap was left off and they went dry in storage. My door was screwed up, my power outlets were screwed up. And here's a little note about Shiruba. On his right hand he has a 0314 tattoo, and that's like his number. What did he mean by this? What did he mean by this? Yeah, I was just wicked bored all the time. And I would burn shit all the time, and I would smoke. That's pretty much all I did. So this is Ratatat. Their album cover art for this was a wildcat of some sort, and I adapted it into an ocelot. Rip Marceline. Marceline was like one of my first cars. First car I changed the oil in. First car I changed the brakes in, and the fluids, and the filters. And I remember when I got it, I towed it out of a field because it was about to be condemned. And I got the title to it. Then I spent a day like completely cleaning the inside, and then we fixed it. And I drove that for like 2 years, half of which I had no reverse or air conditioning. Flying down back roads, good times. So this is kind of ties into my final manic episode, where it's like I could have prevented it if I just stayed on my meds. And so here's Marceline next to my cousin's Lincoln, and these were the two cars that were destroyed in my final manic episode. So this is kind of a meme from me to myself, and I take ZQuil to sleep sometimes, and it contains diphenhydramine, and that gives me headaches, and the headaches make me hurt, and when it hurts too much, I stay wide awake, wondering why have I done this to myself. This is one of my best friends online, Turbo. We go way back to 2016. We've played all sorts of games together. We have like a wall of quotes of all the crazy shit we've said together in our voice calls playing games. Great stuff. This is me and my friend Don. I caught a ferret, even though Shoob looks more like a ferret than a parrot. He looks like a conniving little bastard. When When the night turns cold, my thoughts feel like stone. Cave Town lyrics. I mean, you can get the meaning from this pretty quickly. It's like, you're having a bad night, your mind's in a bad place. Sparko again, just smoking a doobie. Sparko seems like he would be menacing, like he's a sleep paralysis demon, but nah, he's just your average stoner, I guess. This is Danica, Shiruba's sister, with a gun of some sort. Nothing much to say about that. Some kind of Hellcat. Guibus. I drew this at my trade school, going back to talk to career services, and I colored Guibus in with one of the highlighters for the whiteboards. We have Burger Pants, the Wicked Bitch of the West, Mr. Tomato Head. I should be on top, but I'm always underground. Like, sometimes I feel like weed has made me lazy, or at least complacent in the way that things are. Everything winds up somewhere. Everything winds up somewhere. It's like, you think of the things you used to have when you were a kid, when you were a teenager, then you realize even if it's broken, it's somewhere. Things just don't disappear, they go somewhere. Battle of the Spore Basilisks. I drew these guys and it kind of looked like they were made in Spore. I used to love that game when I was a kid. This is just sort of, I took the page for the stickers that I put on the front of this, and I traced the outlines of the sticker holes and drew little things in them. This is one of my good friends on the internet, Eugene, and he's Russian. I've known him since 2021, and he's like the most real, most laid-back guy I know. This is just a dire forest, got a little treasure chest. Submarines, bombs, guns, bullet tips, planetary gears, gas mask. So I was talking to the guy at career services at my school, and he says, we're talking about something falling down like Jenga, and he says, oh, it's like that game, Django. Then I draw Mr. Old Man Django. So I was just doodling aimlessly, like smearing a Copic marker across the page without intent. Then I turned them into little critters with fine liners. So I walked all the way to the park just to draw, to find out it was super windy out, and I draw this. It's like if Sparko was Scooby-Doo, this is Scrappy-Doo. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I don't like it. More Tawny Jash. It ties into the feelings of like mending yourself after you were like a toxic person and going through a dark route. Miracle Musical. Yeah, I sort of did the same thing where I was doodling around with a Copic and changed it to the chisel tip and went sideways, and it became a continent, and so I made it into like a Dungeons and Dragons map, even though I never played that game. This is Jack Spector again, playing with knives like a sensible human. Land ships. I don't know, when I was a little kid I used to draw something called the Destroyer Train, and it was like the front of a train, right? Like the engine card. I don't know what they're called. Maybe it's just the train. But it had a drill in the front. And then it slowly evolved into things like this. It's just a little Star Fox. Oh wait, that's a video game. No, a little Galaxy Fox. Kind of like, I know what I'm talking about. The one of Shiruba colored in with stars. And we leave off with here, the Institute Space Station. So that was it. We got about 50 more pages left to go, and I'm thinking we can make another one of these videos soon with some progress. Maybe I'll buy another sketchbook and do sketchbook, drawing videos. but we'll have to see what happens. I might get more busy in the following months, but yeah. Hey, have a good day, have a good night wherever you are. If you don't want to miss another one of my Sketchbook Storytime videos, remember to ring the bell.